အားလုံးပဲမင်္ဂလာပါကိုကျမ်းမှာစိတ်ချမ်းသာကြပါစေကျွန်တော်ဒီနေ့ပြောမှာကခေါင်းစဉ်ကနိဗ္ဗာန်မှာဘာမှမရှိဘူးနိဗ္ဗာန်ရောက်လို့ဘာအကျိုးရှိမှလဲဆိုပြီးတော့ပြောတဲ့စကားနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဆွေးနွေးကြပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီပြောတဲ့လူတွေကိုလည်းအပြစ်တင်ခြင်းနဲ့စိတ်မရှိပါဘူးဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ကိုယ်တိုင်ကအရင်တုန်းကလည်းဒီလိုမျိုးပဲဖြစ်ခဲ့လို့ပါပဲဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာရဲ့အဆုံးသတ်ရည်မှန်းချက်ကနိဗ္ဗာန်အကြောင်းကိုလူအများကမှားပြီးသဘောပေါက်ကြပါတယ်သူတို့ပြောတာကနိဗ္ဗာန်မှာဘာမှမရှိဘူးဘာမှမရှိတဲ့နေရာကိုသွားမယ်ဆိုရင်ဘာလို့ဖို့သွားမှာလဲဘာအကျိုးရှိမှာအဲ့ဒီမိကိုဝင်ကြည့်လိုက်ရင် make sense အဓိပ္ပာယ်ရှိသလိုဖြစ်နေတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီလိုမေးတဲ့မိကုန်းကဘယ်ကလာတယ်လဲဆိုတော့လူတွေရဲ့စိတ်ထဲမှာအမြဲတမ်းရှိနေတဲ့တဏှာတစ်ခုခုကိုချိတ်လို့တဲ့စိတ်ထဲကပဲထွက်လာတာဖြစ်တယ်နိဗ္ဗာန်ဘာမှမရှိတဲ့နေရာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးဗုဒ္ဓရဲ့အယူဆမှာဘာမှမရှိဘူးပြောတာကအကျွမ်းမဲ့စိတ်ဝေဒနာကင်းစင်မှုကိုပြောဆိုတာပါနိဗ္ဗာန်မှာတဏှာမရှိကိလေသာမရှိဒေါသမရှိယုံနာမရှိဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီမရှိတဲ့အရာတွေကတော့ငါတို့တစ်သက်လုံးဒုက္ခပေးနေတဲ့အရာတွေဖြစ်နေအဲ့ဒါတွေမရှိတော့ဘာဖြစ်မလဲဆိုနိဗ္ဗာန်မှာအေးချမ်းမှုရှိတယ်လို့ဆိုပါတယ်ဒါတွေကဘာမှမရှိတဲ့နေရာထက်တန်ဖိုးရှိပါတယ်မရှိတာကဘာတွေလဲဆိုတော့လောဘဒေါသမောဟအဲ့ဒါမရှိဘူးချုပ်ငြိမ်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါတွေကဘာနဲ့တူလဲဆိုတော့မီးနဲ့တူတယ်အလောင်းသုံးပါးဖြစ်တယ် analogy နှိုင်းရှင်ပြီးတော့တူတဲ့အချက်တွေကိုပြောဆိုတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်နိဗ္ဗာန်ကမီးအလောင်းရက်သွားတာမီးငြိမ်းသွားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်မီးလောင်ဖို့လောင်တာမရှိတဲ့အခြေအနေဖြစ်ပါတယ်နိဗ္ဗာန်ကိုစကားလုံးနဲ့ပေါ်ပြလို့မရဘူးဆိုပြီးတော့စာအုပ်တွေမှာအများကြီးရေးပါတယ်ပါဠိလိုပြောရရင်လည်းအများကြီးပါပဲအဲ့ဒါနည်းနည်းလေးစိတ်ရှည်သိခံပြီးတော့နားထောင်ကြည့်ပါတချို့ပါဠိစကားလုံးတွေကလည်းပဲအင်မတန်ကိုအကျိုးပေးပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီအင်္ဂလိပ်စကားလုံးလေးတွေနဲ့ရှင်းပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်ပြောသားပါတယ်ဒီမှာတတိယရတစ်ခုကဆွန်လွန်ဆရာတော်ကြီးလားမသိဘူးတဲအင်းကူဆရာတော်ကြီးလားမသိဘူးကျွန်တော်သေချာမှတ်မိပါပရမတ္ထတရားအကြောင်းကိုပြောရရင်ပါဇက်ပိတ်ပြီးနေရမယ်ပြောလို့မရဘူးလို့ပြောရတယ်အဲ့ဒါကိုတခြားအင်္ဂလိပ်စကားလုံးတွေနဲ့အစားထိုးပြီးကျွန်တော်တင်ပြပါတချို့အင်္ဂလိပ်စကားလုံးတွေကအတော်စိတ်ဝင်စားဖို့ကောင်းပါတယ် ungraspable graspable ungraspable impossible to comprehend or understand ကိုင်တွယ်ဖန်ဆီးလို့မရတော့စုပ်ကိုင်၍ပြသမရနိုင်တော့လို့အဓိပ္ပာယ်ရပါတယ် that which cannot be grasped or seized and cannot be physically shown by holding ကိုင်ပြီးတော့ပြလို့မရ This describes something intangible beyond physical handling or display often used in Dharma context to describe Nibbana Vijnana consciousness ဝိညာဏစိတ်ကိုပြောပါတယ် mental qualities like Saita. Pali loပြောရင်လည်းတော်တော်ကောင်းပါတယ်တချို့ပါဠိစကားလုံးတွေကလည်းဖတ်ခက်တဲ့အတွက်ကျွန်တော်ဖတ်မပြတော့ not be grasped, not to be touched, contact, cannot be shown with the hand, inaccessible, not to be shown or seen. In Pali, a single word that conveys the meaning of that which cannot be grasped, seized, especially in Dharma context, would depend on what exactly is being described. Here is a few key Pali terms that may suit my intention depending on the nuances. Pali lo mapalu ala manyao papyao. Anida sana, meaning invisible, non-manifest, not to be shown, often used to describe Nibbana or the Vijnana. Anidesenam in the Kewata Sutta. Vijnanam anidasanam, consciousness that is non-manifest. Anaja paniya, meaning not to be approached or grasped. Inaccessible, used for things beyond mental or physical grasp. Apatiwatiya, irreversible, not able to be turned back or seized. Ataka wasara, beyond logic or reason, not accessible to reasoning, describes things like Nibbana, which cannot be grasped by thinking or logic. Anupalabha, not obtainable, unfindable, used to be denote that something cannot be found or seized. If you are referring specially to Nibbana or a similar ungraspable, ungraspable, transcendent state, the word anidasana is the most precise, especially in canonical usage. အဲ့ဒါတွေကတချို့ကျွန်တော်ရှာဖွေထားတဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်ကိုပါဠိလိုရှင်းပြထားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့အပနိတကိုင်းတွယ်ဖန်ဆီးလို့မရအောင်ရော့အင်းဆိုရင်လက်ကြီးနဲ့စုပ်ကန်ပြီးတော့ဒါပဲလို့ပြလို့မရအောင်နောက်ပြီးတော့အနိဒတနာမျက်လုံးနဲ့မြင်လို့မရအောင်မြင်အပ်သည့်အဖြစ်မရှိဘူးမြင်အပ်တဲ့သဘောမရှိဘူးမမြင်နိုင်တဲ့တရားမမြင်နိုင်တဲ့ဆိုတာမျက်လုံးနဲ့မမြင်နိုင်တော့ပြောတာမြင်အပ်သည့်အဖြစ်မြင်အပ်သောသဘောမရှိသောနိဗ္ဗာန်စက္ခုဝိညာဉ်ဖြစ်မန္တစက္ခုဒိဗ္ဗစက္ခုတို့ဖြစ်မမြင်နိုင်သောနိဗ္ဗာန်ညွန်ပြကြောင်းဥပမာပုံစံမရှိသောနှိုင်းခိုင်းစရာဥပမာမရှိသောနိဗ္ဗာန်အဲ့တော့နိဗ္ဗာန်ဘာရှိလဲလို့မင်းဗုဒ္ဓမပြောပါဘူးဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ပြောလိုက်ရင်လူတွေကထင်မြင်တတ်မှတ်ပြီးတဏှာနဲ့ချိတ်ကြအောင်ဒါကြောင့်နိဗ္ဗာန်ကိုအမြဲတမ်းတည်တတ်တဲ့အေးချမ်းမှုလို့အကြောင်းပြဖော်ပြခဲ့ပါတယ်နိဗ္ဗာန်မှာတဏှာမရှိဘူးဒေါသမရှိဘူးမောဟမရှိဘူးဒါမျိုးနဲ့ပြောရင်ဘာမှမရှိဘူးဆိုတာတဲ့အနန္တအေးချမ်းမှုရှိတယ်ဆိုတာနားလည်ရလွယ်ပါတယ်နိဗ္ဗာန်ဆိုတာဘာမှမရှိတဲ့နေရာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးနိဗ္ဗာန်ဆိုတာဘာမှမလိုတော့တဲ့အခြေအနေဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဗုဒ္ဓ မြတ်စွာဘုရားကမွေးခြင်းသေခြင်းရှိတာကြောင့်မွေးခြင်းမရှိတဲ့အရာရှိရမယ်မွေးခြင်းမရှိတဲ့အရာရှိတာကြောင့်မွေးပြီးသေတဲ့အရာမရှိတဲ့နီလန်းကိုရှိနိုင်တယ်လို့ပြောခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒါဟာတကယ်တန်ဖိုးရှိတဲ့အရာတစ်ခုပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ် Nibbana has nothing then what is the point of reaching it many people misunderstand Nibbana the ultimate goal of Buddhism one common misconception is Nibbana has nothing. What is the benefit of going somewhere that has nothing? At first glance, this question might seem reasonable, but the kind of thinking stems from an innate human tendency, tanha, the craving for attachment, the desire to cling to something. Nibbana is not a place where nothing exists. It is not a void, not a blank space where everything ceases to be. Nibbana is the complete liberation of suffering from attachment. From the endless circle of desire, it is the higher state of peace, freedom, and enlightenment. Beyond what we can grasp with conventional thinking, instead of asking, what remains in Nibbana, perhaps the real question is, what burdens do we finally leave behind when we attain it? This version expand on the meaning to make it more accessible or reflective. Let me know if you like any refinement. Nibbana has nothing. Then what is the point of reaching it? The Buddha's reflection on the nature of liberation. It is a question that has puzzled many curious minds, both within and outside the Buddhist path. If Nibbana has nothing, why should we strive for it? What is the use of reaching something that offers no pleasure, no sensation, no possession, nothing at all? At first glance, that seemed like a valid concern. After all, we humans are conditioned to pursue things that have something to hold on to, something to enjoy, something to identify as mine. We are drawn to what promises gain, comfort, stimulation, recognition, or love. From that mindset, Nibbana is often described as beyond form, beyond feeling, beyond becoming, sounds uninviting, even lifeless. But this misunderstanding arises not from the wisdom, but from tanha, the unrelenting thirst that fuels samsara, the endless circle of rebirth and suffering. This craving distorts our vision, making us think that having is always better than letting go. It whispers emptiness, that's scary. Better to stick with what you know, even if it hurts, even if it hurts. Yet the Dharma, the Buddha's teaching, is not accumulating more. It's about seeing clearly the nature of what we already chase after. How conditioned things are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. Nibbana is not a void, it is a freedom. When people say Nibbana has nothing, they may imagine a kind of cosmic blankness, a featureless vacuum, or even non-existent. But this is not what the Buddha taught. Nibbana is not a place where things cease to exist. It is the end of the process that produces suffering. It is the extinguishes of greed, hatred, and delusion, the fire that keeps us burning with restlessness and discontent. In fact, the word Nibbana itself means extinguishment, like a fire that has gone out, not because it was destroyed, but because the fuel is gone. The fire of suffering is not annihilated. It has simply stopped because there is nothing left to sustain it. In that sense, Nibbana doesn't have anything because it doesn't need anything. It is the culmination of renunciation, the unbinding of the heart from all clinging. It is peace, unshaken, serene, and complete. The wrong question. So when someone asks, what is the point of going where there is nothing? They are asking from a place of habitual desire. But perhaps the more meaningful question is, what burdens are we free from? Once we reach Nibbana, let's reflect deeply. In Nibbana, we are free from anxiety about the future and regret about the past. We are no longer driven by the craving to become or the fear of ceasing to be. We are no longer trapped in the endless cycles of birth, aging, sickness, and death. We are free from the inner walls of desire, aversion, and delusion. We are free from the pain of clinging to what must change and the sorrow of losing what cannot last. What greater world could there be than freedom from all suffering? Nothing to cling to and nothing to fear. Yes, Nibbana has nothing. No form, no color, no shape, no sensory pleasure to grasp. But in that nothing, there is nothing to fear, nothing to lose, and nothing to defend. Amazing resting after lifetimes of wandering. Amazing a mind that no longer yearns, struggles, or resists. Amazing a hurt heart that no longer needs to cling or push away anything at all. That is Nibbana. The Arahant, the one who has realized Nibbana, lives in the world but is not entangled by it. Their joy is not in things but in freedom. Their peace is not in possession but in release. Their wisdom sees clearly. Nothing is worth clinging to as I or mine. The paradox of Nibbana. So perhaps it is time we stop measuring spiritual attainment with the yardstick of worldly gain. Nibbana is not about what you get. It is about what you are no longer bound by. It is the end of becoming, not the beginning of ownership. The mind may initially fear this because it is accustomed to chasing after forms and feelings, but with deeper practice we begin to taste the sweetness of letting go, of wanting less, clinging less, and fearing less. And finally, the questions no longer becomes why seek something that has nothing, but rather why carry the burden of everything when there is a release? Why suffer endlessly when peace is possible? Let go. Nibbana may have nothing, but in that nothing is the highest freedom. Let me know if you certainly below in an extensive, elaborated 25-minute Dhamma talk on the profound exchange between a monk and Venerable Sariputta, centered around the question, how can there be peace if there is no feeling, vedana? And the response, it is precisely because there is no feeling that is called peace. ပမာလို့ပြန်ပြောမယ်ဝေဒနာမရှိတာဘယ်လိုခံစားမှုမရှိတာနဲ့ငြိမ်းချမ်းတယ်လို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်တဲ့ဘုန်းကြီးတစ်ပါးရှင်သာရိပုတ္တရာကိုမေးတယ်အဲ့ဒါရှင်သာရိပုတ္တရာအင်မတန်အဖို့တန်တဲ့အဖြေကိုပြန်ဖြေပါတယ်ဝေဒနာမရှိခြင်းသည်ပင်လျင်ငြိမ်းချမ်းတယ်လို့ခေါ်တာတဲ့ These teachings come from a conversation between an unnamed monk and Venerable Sariputta, one of the Buddha's chief disciples, renowned for his deep wisdom. The monk asked, Venerable Sariputta, how can something be considered peaceful if there is no feeling at all? Isn't feeling necessarily for experience? How can you say it is peaceful if nothing is felt? To which Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta, replied, it is precisely because there is no feeling that it is called peace. This brief answer opened a door to one of the deepest thoughts in Buddhist philosophy, the ending of all conditioned experience, including vedana. Feeling is what constitutes true Nibbana. Understanding vedana, let us first understanding what vedana means. In Buddhist psychology, vedana refer to feeling tone, not emotions, but rather the quality of experience. Pleasant, sukha; unpleasant, dukkha; neutral, adukkam, asukham. Every moment of contact through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body or mind produces vedana. It is automatic and continuous, arising from sense contact, phassa. The Buddha taught that feeling is the trigger of craving, tanha. Depend on contact, there is feeling. Depend on feeling, there is craving. Phassa pissaya vedana, vedana pissaya tanha. That is how the change of dependent origination, paticca samuppada, unfold. Feeling lead to clinging, becoming, and ultimately suffering. So, as long as vedana is present, especially unwise engagement with it, dukkha continues. Condition, peace versus unconditioned peace. Now, we usually think of peace as a pleasant feeling. A cool breeze on a hot day, the silence of a quiet forest, the calm after a stressful event, but this is conditioned peace. It arises due to causes and is depend on pleasant sensation. It is still within the realm of sankhara, the conditioned world, and because it is conditioned, it is impermanent and it fades. Venerable Sariputra, however, was referring to unconditioned peace, the peace of Nibbana, which is not based on sensation or mental state. In that state, the mind is no longer shaken by pleasant or unpleasant feeling because they do not arise at all. It is not the pleasant or a good feeling that define Nibbana. It is the absence of all feeling and therefore the absence of craving, reaction or rebirth. Why the absence of feeling is peace? Let's return to the question, how can there be peace where there is no feeling? The answer may feel paradoxical at first. We are so used to identifying peace with pleasant feeling. But from the Buddha's view, true peace is not having to feel anything at all. Here is why. Feeling, even pleasant ones, are part of the five aggregate Pyansa Khanda. They are impermanent and not self. All feelings are subject to change, and what is subject to change is a source of stress, dukkha. Even the finest heavenly pleasure ends. Even jhanic bliss is temporary. So, when feelings stop, not suppressed, but completely extinguishes through insight and non-clinging, what remains is freedom, not a dead void, but a still, luminous awareness, untouched by pain or pleasure. This is why Sariputta said, it is precisely because there is no feeling that is peaceful. Because when no feeling arises, no reaction arises, no craving arises, and therefore no suffering arises. Examples and simile. Let's use some analogies to make this clearer. The fire and fuel. Imagine a fire burning because of wood. That fire is like the mind reacting to vedana. Now imagine the fuel is removed. The fire dies out. Is that death? No, it is rest. It is peace. The spinning wheel. A wheel spins due to momentum. That momentum is craving, driven by feeling. But when there is no more input, no more feeling, the wheel slows and eventually stops. The stillness of that wheel is not blankness. It is freedom from agitation. a stormless sky in the presence of feeling. The mind is like a sky filled with storms, pleasant or painful. When all vedana cease, it is like a clear sky, calm, open, untouched, not empty in a negative sense, but full of serenity. The path to that peace, how do we reach that state? Not by destroying feeling or forcing them to disappear, but by seeing their impermanent nature with wisdom. Observe vedana as vedana. Do not cling to pleasure or resist pain. Cultivating equanimity and insight. This is the practice of Satipatthana, mindfulness of feeling. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddhas instruct, one understand there is feeling. One understand this feeling is impermanent. Eventually, as defilements fade, the mind lets go, and even the finest vedana drop away. That is the peace of nirodha, cessations. And then there is no more birth, aging, sorrow, lamentation, or death, because the root change has been served. Conclusion and reflection. Let us reflect again on Sariputta's profound words. Because there is no feeling, it is called peace. This is the peace of Nibbana, the unshakable release, the freedom from becoming. It is not cold emptiness, but a deep, pure stillness that is beyond the reach of pain, desire, and fear. Let us not be afraid of a state that has no feeling. Let us instead look deeply into our own experience and ask, are the feeling I cling to truly satisfying? Is chasing pleasant vedana bringing me lasting happiness? What would it mean to be free? Not because I have everything, but because I need nothing. May we practice with mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. May we see the nature of feeling clearly, and may we gradually move toward that final peace. Peace beyond feeling, beyond suffering, beyond becoming. Nibbanam Paraman Sukham. Nibbana is the highest happiness. Thank you very much. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.